Hello everybody, welcome to the last episode of the Headless guitar build. I'm your host Gleb. Let's finish this baby up. This is right. It's time to put in the hardware, the strings, and everything else on this beautiful guitar. So we've got our workbench here, and here is our stuff. Whoops. We got so many things going on here. Bridges, top locks, pickups, electronics, shielding paint, masking tape, nuts, knobs, volume knobs, battery, all sorts of stuff happening here. So let's tackle all of them one by one and assemble it up. To start things off, I would like to use some electric paint or shielding paint and paint all the cavities. Pickup cavities here and then the control cavity on the back. But before I can do that, I just quickly would like to drill in a few holes for our threaded inserts, because pickups and the control cavity cover, which is right here, they will all be held to the body of the guitar with this little screw and a threaded insert. So 1, 2, 3, 4 holes here and then 2 at the back. So let's do it first and then we'll move to the shielding paint. I don't need to go too deep, just enough for the threaded insert to get inside it. So let's drill the 4 holes. And in a similar fashion, we do need a few holes in our control cavity to make sure we can put on the cover. So there are a few small holes here. First, I would like to transfer them onto the body with this small drill bit. It is adjusted for the length of the screw that is going to hold it, just with a piece of masking tape. It's a very useful trick. So just going in there. And same way here. Then, now if we open it up, we have our control cavity screw holes, but we need a place for our threaded inserts, so we gotta make them bigger. Okay, this works. So here's our painting setup. Obviously electric paint, a brush, and then you're probably wondering, what the hell is this Gleb? Now this is, if you recall, the template that we use for routing a little hole to make sure that the cover goes right in there. And now we can actually use this not to splash any paint on the rest of the guitar around it, because it's basically the perfect size for this kind of job. So let's get to painting it. It's my first time. I have no idea how it will go, but I'm hoping it will go well. Okay, now that the whole thing is covered with the paint, we can take our template off very carefully, straight up, and here is our filled in control cavity, protected from interference signals from the outer world. So now that I see I have a bit more light getting there. I see bits and pieces that I think I can safely cover with a bit more of this paint, but it's really starting to dry quickly. And if I have a little bit on the sides, I can go in with some a bit damped piece of cloth and remove all that, because this paint is easily removable with some water. So that's all good here. Now I have to do the same thing for battery cover. I'm not going to bother you with it, just going to cover the whole thing exactly the same way. So see you on the other side when I will be painting the pickup cavities. For the pickup, I'm going to use exactly the same method because I haven't have the template just hanging around here. So I'm going to use it and then paint it the same way. Whoops. I'm doing this in a circular motion to make sure I get as equal coverage as I can, and that I don't use too much paint. I'm actually not sure how much of it we actually want here, so I'm just going to be using as much as the wood wants or requires, which is actually not that much. And so while the paint dries, why don't we install a bridge and a top lock? Sounds like a good idea to me. Installing the bridge is pretty straightforward. We remove the saddles to gain access to the bridge mounting holes. Our bridge placement is already figured out. I took a lot of time to make sure it's the correct placement because we needed to make this kind of a recessed cavity for the bridge. So that's the placement. Then we are going to mark the holes, then pre-drill them slightly, and then just put in our screws. That's it. So what I just did there, I kind of pre-mounted the screws, and now I'm just going to go one by one, little by little, to make sure that the bridge is in the correct position. Okay, this bridge is not going anywhere. Access, and here are the two screws. So exactly the same thing. Gotta drill two holes here and put in the screws. Right, now that the top lock and this awesome bridge are installed, we can move to the next big chapter: electronics. Let's start the electronics chapter by putting the threaded inserts, which are going to be our height adjustment tool for our pickups. And to make this happen, I'm going to use this strange tool and insert just, it goes inside the insert like so. And then I will be able to use my screwdriver just to drive it in place, all 4 of them. Just like that, we have our first threaded insert in place. So 4 more to go. Oh wait, 3 more to go. I thought this would be a good idea to actually go over the electronics first and then get to soldering and all that fun stuff. So what I've got here is I've got TMG 81, 85 pickups. They're saying it's Dave Mustaine pickups, but that's not the matter, it's just EMG 81, 85. And this is the scheme that they sent it to me. So it came with 4 pots, 2 volume, 2 tones, 3-way toggle switch, output jack, and then battery stuff. Now, I don't really want to use that. I want to keep it simple. And maybe from the body you already found out I'm just using a 3-way switch and 1 simple volume. That's it, nothing else. And for that reason, I mocked up my own little scheme here. It's very simple. So our 2 pickups, 9-volt battery here, and I'm going to be using the different jack. So this one is a stock jack. This would require a jack plate of some sort. I'm not a big fan of those, but I'm a very big fan of other type of jack, which is this one here. I think this jack is mostly used on bass guitars for the most part, sometimes on guitars as well. So this one has also 3 terminals, 2 grounds and 1 the tip here for the output signal. So it's already in there waiting for things to be going on. And yeah, here is our volume, here is our jack. Yeah, just simple mock-up of the scheme, the 5-way switch. It took me quite some time to figure out how it works. I'm quite new to electronics, so yeah, but it's all exciting stuff. Some people like it, some people are not big fans of it. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm starting to learn and it's pretty exciting once you really get into it. But for me it's, again, very, very simple. I will have to desolder this jack before soldering a new one. But yeah, there's that. Oh, and here is our beautiful volume pot. I love it. It's one of my favorite things in this build, believe it or not. This volume pot. Mother of pearl in there. I love it. Okay, let's get going. So I think I'm ready to solder. I desoldered old jack and we're all good to go. I cut a few wires here and there. Our main signal wire, a few black ground wires. So I'm not really planning to go into much details right now because you can find tons of videos on how to wire guitars. This is very simple wiring. So here we go, a quick time lapse of me struggling with the wiring or succeeding with the wiring. Here we go. working just like that, not without any issues. Got the wiring done. It's not the most beautiful wiring, especially here and on the back of the volume pot. I still didn't learn how to, how to solder things to the back of different pots properly, but hopefully this is going to work. If you know a better way how to solder them or the right way, please let me know in the comments below. I would really appreciate that. Now let's assemble this baby, because there is not much else left. So here goes our volume pot. Now it has no chance of falling through, which is always a good thing. And here are our screws for 3-way toggle switch. Screws, or perhaps in this case these are actually bolts. Someone mentioned that this should probably be black as well, but well, I might change that in future, but this is what I've got, at least for now. And finally the pickups. So this is EMG81, this goes to the bridge. Like so. And so I connected my pedal, and then here is the small speaker over there where this is always going, and here's our output jack. So let's connect it. Let me quickly put on the sound, and it's time to check. So it's bridge position right now. Oh. Okay, both pickups. Okay, this pickup is not working right now. Okay, both pickups are working, and in this position only neck pickup is working, so all is good. The last thing before we put on the strings, I quickly want to tackle this nut. It is a bone nut, and the height of the string slots, or the low point for them, should be as high as the frets. So people usually use some half pencils and stuff to mark that. I don't have it, but I have a plain blade, which is rather good at marking things. So I'm just going to take it to here, run it along the frets, and then just kind of mark my line like so. It's a very strange way to do it. Yes, it is actually an extremely strange way to do this kind of job, but this is what I had lying around, so I do it like this. And now we've got the line there that shows us the lowest points for the strings. So now I'm going to cut them a little bit, not this deep, but kind of close to it, and then we'll put the strings on. To make the holes in the nut, I have this set of tools. Nut slotting files, I suppose. So these come for strings. This one's for first string, fourth string on the other side, and so on. So let us start with the first string. So the thin side of this file, it's this one here. So this slot is already pre-cut for the most part, so I just have to basically follow what they already did, or what they already established. without further ado, let's put on the strings. If you're wondering the way this works, you got a top lock here where the top end of the string will go. So, and here the sharp end of the string. So it's the other way around compared to a normal guitar. And here it's got the little holes there for the strings. You can see them. And then these are basically acting like the tuners. And here is a cool feature. Ta-da! On a magnet inside the bridge, there is this little crank. Put it on. Dun, 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 dun. So it's basically a string winder that is built inside the bridge. Isn't this just genius? So let's take our strings. I'll be using just the strings that I had lying around from two different set of strings, skinny top, heavy bottom, and hybrid slinky. So I've got these from hybrid and this one from skinny bottom or skinny top, heavy bottom. So yeah, these are the strings that I'm going to use. I'll start with the thickest string, and then guys, here it's my first time ever stringing a headless guitar. So, you know, supposing that I'm building a headless guitar, you would think that one should know or have experience with headless guitars. Well, that's not the case for me. It's my first ever headless guitar that I basically will be playing. So I think I held a headless guitar in my hands just once, but that is it, nothing more. So I'm putting it through the top, so maybe I can get you a bit closer so that you can see what's happening. So I've got this end of the string, I'm putting it through the top lock like so. So it's in there now. And then I would get it through here, though it's a bit too long, so I have to cut it. And now I have to make a decision on how far I have to cut it. Typically with the low strings you don't want too many winds, or you actually don't need this many winds. So I'll see if this can go through. Yes, it can. I don't know, let's leave. You know, like so, this kind of space, and then this will be enough for a few winds probably. So if it is a bit too long, I can always cut it a bit more later. So let me show you this end as well. I'm putting it through a small hole there, and now I will simply start winding it. So okay, that seems to be working. I'll put just a bit of pressure. Yeah, that's working. It's working for sure. So like that. Here's our first string. And it's making a sound. So that's good. Now let me do the other 5 strings in a similar fashion. So without tuning the guitar or anything, would you like to hear what it sounds like? I'm very much curious. Isn't this the kind of way they used to make music for Doom? Okay, just kidding. Let's tune it up and see what it actually sounds like. So here is a quick tip on tuning the guitar. You probably already know it. So I have my tuner going on for me there. So I roughly am going to tune this guitar to D. Okay, so this is D for me right now. And then you stretch the strings. A little bit there, in the middle, the top part, a bit more. This is very, very important. It's going to break in the strings. And remember we had D. Now we are at C. And I'm not doing this the first time. The first time I did this to this string, we went to straight noodles from D. Can you imagine that? So I'm going to set this guitar up a bit more, tune the strings, then I'll show you how it sounds like. Does it sound like a deal? That's a deal. Okay, so this is not properly set up yet, nothing like that, but first impressions, first sound from this guitar. Well, I think they didn't lie about the pickups. Sounds like Dave Mustaine pickups, maybe, but anyway, sounds pretty cool. So that's it, guys. That's it for this video. There is a lot more things to do about this guitar. The string action is crazy high at the moment because I didn't properly finish the nut. I didn't set up the intonation, the string height on the saddles, nothing like that. So it's for me to do, for me to sort out over the next few days or so. So basically finishing it up, making it perfect. It looks great, it sounds great. Now it has to play great, I think, because I think that's the most important one of all of them, maybe. So I'll set it up and I will be back with a proper demo of all the sounds that this guitar can give. This is a metal guitar, this is heavy music guitar, so the variety of sounds might not be there. You might think, you know, it's just 3-way toggle switch and a volume, but essentially that's all most people need. That's all I need. I don't need anything else at all. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'll be just playing here and I guess see you next time.